Are you brand new to real estate? Perhaps you've been dabbling in a while and you're waiting for a breakthrough. You're probably working full time and wondering how you're ever going to get beyond your job. Well, I'm about to introduce you to Wes, and you're going to discover how he went from an entry level job and working up to 100 hours a week to a Freedom Mentor apprentice that is now graduated onto partnering with a private equity firm to build an institutional fund to buy and hold premium level rentals in multiple high-end markets. And Wes credits so much of his phenomenal growth and success to the decision he made to learn real estate and gain much needed mentoring here at Freedom Mentor. If you want out of the rat race and want to take control over your financial future, if you have any aspirations of becoming a real estate tycoon, you need to watch this interview. Hi, I'm Brian Bush with Freedom Mentor, and for nearly 20 years, our team has transformed people from all walks of life into incredibly successful real estate professionals. We provide these real-world stories of our apprentices' experiences and real estate success to help inspire you and to introduce you to the power of real estate. It's created more millionaires than any other business, and it will allow you to achieve financial freedom. Throughout this interview, if you have any questions, text FREEDOM to 305-315-8030 or comment below. Now, let's meet Wes.
Click subscribe and add alerts so you can get more real-world real estate wisdom that you'll hear nowhere else but here.
Well, Wes, thank you so much for joining us today. As we've discussed before, you know how valuable these sessions are to help introduce Freedom Mentor to those that are trying to make a decision where they want to go. And hearing from someone like yourself who's had success with the program and moved on to bigger and better is always very valuable. So thank you for taking time to talk with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always happy to help out Free Mentor. Love the program.
Excellent. Awesome. Awesome. Well, to get us started, can you take us back to what were you doing before you joined Freedom Mentor?
Yeah, I was a financial analyst for a defense contractor. The defense contractor had a couple different contracts. You know, it was all aviation stuff. We had um, a helicopter repair contract in Afghanistan, and then U.S. Forest Service in California, the firefighting airplane. So that's what I was doing before I joined. Um, and I just felt like it wasn't that fulfilling. Like I wasn't doing anything meaningful in my life. So I was like, I want to start something that I can build, I can grow with, I can control, and that's kind of how I felt and why I picked real estate. Really.
Gotcha. So I'm sure you were making decent money. Did it take a tremendous amount of time? What did that look like?
Yeah, it was my first job out of college. I think I was making like 32,000 a year, so it wasn't making that much. Yeah, so it was. I mean, it was a 40-hour a week job, but it was pretty flexible.
So flexible hours and lower pay, but as I recall, you moved over to another job that was a lot more hours.
That job I switched to. They are private equity, invest in hydrocarbons, oil and gas. And yeah, I was working like 100 hours a week in the beginning there. So yeah, it was pretty busy. I had always wanted to do real estate full time, but once I moved over to the new job, it was almost, I didn't have any time to do it.
Right. And 100 hours a week, you had kids already and more coming. So that had to factor in. I figure you weren't seeing a lot of your children either.
Yeah, I had our first daughter, so the hours did come down from 100 hours a week to probably 60 or 70. And I was traveling every week.
Gotcha. And that little girl probably gives you a whole lot of motivation to do something different and make sure you can be at home, right?
That is 100% right. 100% right.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what inspired you to start looking into real estate? Or did you look at a lot of other opportunities as well?
I think how everybody gets into real estate is reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. As soon as I read that, oh, real estate's what I want to do. I didn't look at anything else. I'm kind of like my personality type is like, I'm not going to sit around and I'm not an overthinker. I don't get into analysis paralysis. I liked real estate, so I was going to do it.
Gotcha. Okay. So you started investigating after reading that, and what drove you to look into Freedom Mentor in particular?
I can't remember the exact reason I was looking for coaches. My personality is I would rather, and I've always been this way, even when I didn't have any money, is I'd rather pay for education instead of me learning, the learning curve. I wanted to shorten that learning curve. I wanted to be on my own as quick as possible. Um, I think Freedom Mentor, from what I remember, is really the only, coaching program that I found. And it just, I saw some testimonials. I read a little bit about them online. And it just sounded like something I wanted to be a part of.
Gotcha. So you didn't really consider trying to pursue real estate on your own. You knew that you would need more help.
Yeah, I know I needed help. Didn't want to even try to like figure it out on my own. I knew I needed help. Wanted to have something where I could go to and just learn as quick as possible.
Gotcha. Absolutely. That's wonderful. So as you got started, tell me about some of your favorite experiences. What are some of the highlights of some of the deals you did with us?
I love the wholesale to retail deals. Those are one of my favorites. They are like a more paperwork nightmare, but in terms of risk versus reward, like I love those deals. So there's one deal in particular that I remember that I did. It was an easy $40,000 spread. Put it on the MLS, sold it within a day, and that was probably one of my favorite deals.
Gotcha. And I was looking at the deals you closed with us, and you had some bigger payday deals, but you also just had a lot of consistent deals. And I know early on you were moving a little slower, trying to get acclimated to everything. But once you kind of got in a groove, I mean, you were just closing things month after month after month. What did it take for you? Was there something that clicked or that kind of just put you in that position where things finally moved into that consistency?
Yeah, my average profit was like 14,000, 16,000, something like that. It wasn't a whole lot, but like you said, it was very consistent. So what pushed me there is I think in the beginning I was trying to rely on myself instead of relying on you or the coaches. And what pushed me was being like kind of the switch of like, okay, well, I joined this program not because I want to do it on my own. So I should start relying on the community, listening to call recordings, actually learning how to do this. I think that was the flip that switch in my mind where I was like, yeah, I need to start listening to them, I guess.
Gotcha. So in terms of benefits, you joined in order to get coaching. It took you a while to kind of warm up to how to really plug in and benefit. Are there other benefits from the program that stood out to you that maybe other people might not think about?
The great part about the program is that, you're essentially handed a business and say, here's all the tools you need to build a business. Now it's your responsibility to do it. Um, what I would say the benefits that people may not think about is like you're not just learning about real estate. You're learning skills that you can take anywhere in life. And so that was the main thing that I learned was like after looking back on the program now, it's like, oh yeah, I'm learning how to look at comps, learning how to talk to sellers. But those are skills you can take anywhere. Essentially, like I've heard this called like the skills you're learning in business or otherwise are your own hedge against inflation. You know, no matter what happens with the government, no matter what happens with government policy, local laws, like you know how to make money, and the skills that you build help you do that. So that's probably one thing that I've taken away is like there's a lot more that you learn besides just like, how to buy and sell a house.
Absolutely. And I've heard a lot of people, and I know I experienced it myself, you learn more about yourself because, first and foremost, as you said, you're taking on a business and you're the CEO. You're the one that has to run the ship and really move into that. You kind of get into that e myth thought of it's one thing to be the technician, it's another to not just manage, but to be the entrepreneur. And you have to really find that balance. So you got started there, it finally took a while, but that sunk in, you took off with it. Overall, what was it like being part of Freedom Mentor community towards your success?
Yeah, it was tremendous. I wanted to be in a position in my life with real estate to be around people that continually just pushed you. Like, for example, like, in the beginning, you're like scared to call a seller because, inspection report came back with, some foundation work that needed, and I freaked out about it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to call them and ask for a price change or let them know what. So you have like a Brian Bush telling you, well, you need to make that phone call. It's really important to make that phone call. And so people are pushing you to change. They're pushing you to grow. Like I said, you're learning about yourself, learning about the business. It's just really, I wanted to be in an environment where I was able to be pushed and really have somebody to hold me accountable. Um, in certain situations, like, when you get a lead, you need to call a seller quick. I would, if it was just me, I'd be like, I'll call them in a couple hours or whatever. So there's a lot of things. Just pushing and growing is the main thing that I enjoy being part of the community.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you've reached the goal. You did profit sharing. You made $500,000. With regards to the profit sharing, what would you say about that is kind of the best thing about it in terms of the approach? Was there something that made that something you wanted to participate in?
Yeah, I think the main thing was you have a partner in each deal that's just as committed as you are. And that was so huge. It's not like it's just big being able to call, get on the coaching call or email one of the coaches and just have like, honest help because they're just as committed as you are to get the deal done and make money. So that was that's probably one of the best things that I enjoyed about it is knowing that, you're not just telling, not somebody's not just there, just like that have any skin in the game, just like, oh, maybe you should just try this or try this. It was somebody that's actually giving you real answers and committed to making the deal work.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, how did it feel when you graduated? When, you finally met that goal, made $500,000 in net profits in real estate? What was that like for you?
Kind of surreal. And when it came, it was kind of like, oh wow, I'm finally here. But it felt really good. It felt really good, knowing the skills I've built, knowing I have a real business and I can make real money. And you still have some people to, I still was able to go email you guys when I had questions on a couple of deals even after I graduated. So yeah, it felt really great. Um, but it was kind of surreal. It kind of took a couple months to settle in.
Sure. Absolutely. And like you said, you along the way developed skills, that experience to hedge against inflation. That's got to be a tremendous difference for you and your family and your future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, real estate is just, and learning from that program is, it's what I'm doing today. So yeah, it's changed my life a lot.
That's wonderful. So, obviously it's a journey, and along the way you learn a lot of lessons as you've alluded to. Is there any real estate advice that you wish you could have given your younger self, or that perhaps you want to share with the beginner out there that's looking to get started in real estate, as long as they're not in your market, right?
Yeah. Learning kind of the local market a little bit better. I think that was probably my biggest mistake was not venturing out too far, kind of getting instead of staying in my own comfort zone, essentially.
Gotcha. So, yeah, as you build relationships in your local market with title companies, with real estate agents, with contractors, and really expand, that in itself is its own network, and you continue to grow out from there. So, maybe pursuing that earlier on might have gotten you move forward faster.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, today you don't be afraid to ask questions. I'll call the title company and just, even back after I graduated, when I was in the apprentice program, it almost feels like I was too scared to ask questions to the title company. Maybe I should know all the answers or something. But today it's just like, just don't care to ask questions. Who cares what they think about you? Just ask, like try to understand the process. I try to understand, a seller's going through foreclosure, like understand that process from a title perspective. Ask everybody involved and don't be afraid to ask questions.
That's so very valuable. My wife gets mad at me because I ask too many questions sometimes, and she thinks I'm interrogating her. But this is how I learn. And you're right. Being afraid to ask questions because you think you're somehow supposed to know the answer, or they're going to think they're being put out by all the questions or something. It holds you back because now there's pieces you don't have. The puzzle's not all fitting together, and it's holding you back in some way.
Yeah.
So that's such a valuable piece. Thank you for mentioning that. Are there mistakes that you think that investors make? Are there any that stand out in that realm that perhaps you were able to sidestep or that you went through as we're kind of talking about where you could have seen improvements faster? Any of those that stand out?
Yeah, I think there's a saying, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's, "Your best deal you may do is one you pass on." There's been lots of opportunities, um, where I get a deal from a seller or a wholesaler. I do inspections on the house, some things like one I just canceled the contract on this week. Uh, I did an inspection and needed $15,000 worth of, foundation work that nobody knew about. The whole, crawl space was rotten. And, I said, I gotta, this has to be something we talk about. We gotta reduce the price." They didn't wanna reduce the price. I was being pushed to close, and I was just like, "Nope, not doing it." So, I think that's probably the biggest mistake is, like, rushing a deal, wanting to get a deal just to get a deal. That's probably a big mistake that I see investors making.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way I've put it early on is as you're learning this business, learning what isn't a deal and what to say no to is probably the most profitable and important skill you can develop. Because otherwise it can absolutely cost you a fortune, both in time, money, and for some people, it will literally be the death of their real estate aspirations, because they
Yes.
just have such a bad experience, they just walk away. That's so wise to be able to know what to say no to. And as you just mentioned, it was interesting. Phil shared something with me early on when I was an apprentice that you have to have a little money in the bank. He said when he had about 50,000 in the bank is when he was able to walk away from a closing table. Earlier on, you're so eager to do a deal and needing to make the money that you end up just trying to turn everything into a winner, and that's not always going to work, right?
That's a tough learning lesson to make. It's almost like your parents telling you, to slow down while you're driving when you first get your driver's license. You always just have to learn it yourself. It's such a it's such a hard learning lesson. So yeah, it was really hard to learn that. And again, I think most people just learn it themselves and they don't realize it.
Sure. Or some never learn it, right? So
Definitely, yeah.
how important would you say that having a mentor is to reaching the level of success that you have?
I wouldn't be here today without Freedom Mentor. There's just there's just so many things I could point to that, if I didn't have a mentor, there's so many ways a deal can go wrong. Having that mentor there to walk you through it and say, "Oh, this really isn't that big of a deal. Just, we'll work through it." That's so helpful for me. And it's really formed, being part of being an apprentice in Freedom Mentor has really made me more of really developed a tougher personality, a tougher mind. Because you know that if you've done, I think it took me 15 to 20 deals to graduate. After those 15 or 20 deals, you've probably seen it all. So it really, it really kind of helped, form to be like, okay, most of the stuff really isn't that big of a deal. It's easy to work through. You'll be able to figure it out. So that was the main thing was I could get caught up in my own mind sometimes and having an outside mentor walking you through the deal, showing you how to market, showing you how to sell the deal. It was just, so extremely helpful and so valuable.
Right. And like we said, you consistently were closing deals. So you weren't making huge profits, 14 to 16,000 a piece, which I'm sure a lot of people would love to see show up in their bank account each month. But as you closed more deals, that got you more experience with different types of closing, different types of problems, how to overcome them. So you really had a broad base of knowledge and understanding when you graduated. How has that affected you moving forward in real estate? Is that allowed you to focus on a specific type of real estate, or what are your future plans looking like?
Yeah, so, I really, as of today and up until today, since I graduated, I still do. I've kept more rentals. I've done a lot more flips. Still do wholesales. I keep more flips than I do wholesales today. With keep as in like I flip the houses and stuff, keep them as a rental versus wholesaling them today. And in the future, uh, I I I sold half of my business, partnered with a private equity firm out of Dallas, and we're trying to build an institutional fund. We're wanting to buy and keep what we're going to call premium rentals. You know, above the average purchase price for each city. We want to try to keep rentals in that price range. So yeah, that's what I'm doing in the future, trying to build that institutional size fund, hopefully.
That's great. And talk about growing from a defense analyst making a pretty low salary, and now you're taking on building that. You've really made some huge strides in this process, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's night and day difference. Yeah, the skills that I've learned through the program have just been extremely helpful, tremendously helpful. I wouldn't be here today without it.
That's wonderful. How does it feel to be in this position now?
Like, I am excited about where I'm at today, but it's almost like you just want to keep growing. You want to keep doing more. Not that like there's like this ever-ending desire of wanting to do more, but it's just like, uh, I want to do more and more exciting things. I want to be able to build this business more. So it is very exciting to be where I'm at, and it's almost unrecognizable from where I was, and so it's kind of hard to believe where I'm at. So yeah, it's really good. It's a really good feeling. Excited to be here, and excited to be doing real estate full time.
That's great.
It's a dream come true.
That's wonderful, Wes. Any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with everyone? People that are seeing where you've come from, where you're going, and really where you're just in the process of continuing to grow. Any words of wisdom you'd share?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have money to do this. Uh, I put half of the starting money. I put half of it on a credit card and I borrowed half of my grandma. So I was able to make it work, and you just can't quit. That's the most important thing is, whenever you get down or bad things happen, you gotta rely on the mentor. They'll walk you through it, help you through it. And that's the most important thing is you just can't quit. Like everybody says, you gotta be too dumb to quit.
But, they'll often point out that book, 3 Feet from Gold, and, if you just stay with it, to me, the biggest thing is finding a proven vehicle, right? The right program, the right mentoring, the right connections, so that the path works. You just have to work it and stay on the course, and that's exactly what you've done, Wes. So congratulations to you for staying with it. Obviously, it's propelled you into a wonderful place with you and your family, and being able to dictate your income, and now selling half your business and growing even further. So I wish you the very best for future. I know we're going to continue to connect and see you as you grow. But thank you for being part of Freedom Mentor and sharing your success with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to share my experience, and hopefully somebody can get something out of it.
Excellent. Thank you, Wes.
Every successful real estate investor has a mentor. Get mentored by me and my team by applying to be my next apprentice. Click the top corner.
Well, as you just heard, Wes was not an overnight success. It's rarely a straight line. There are ups and downs along the way. But he knew he had the right support and coaches to guide him if he utilized all the tools and resources. He started out with a part-time effort and consistently grew to a steady monthly income just flipping properties. That's the kind of results that breeds more and more momentum and can transform your life. Wes built his mindset and his skill set to not only graduate as an apprentice, but to continue growing into a tycoon in his market, and is currently expanding well beyond what he could even imagine when he began. But that didn't come without a lot of hard work, as he told us. I imagine you're working hard week in and week out, no matter what you may be doing. Make sure you have the right vehicle that will allow you to enjoy the fruits of all your efforts, now and for the future. creative real estate investing is that vehicle, but trying to build it on your own is a mistake. You need the right training and you need a mentor. As Wes shared, the skills you learn and master are your own hedge against inflation. That's what he gained coming to Freedom Mentor, and it's propelled him to amazing heights. If you want the opportunity to build your own hedge and achieve success like Wes has, apply to our apprentice program, where our team will mentor, coach, and guide you to financial success. There's a link in the description and in the top right corner. Again, if you have any questions for us, text FREEDOM to 305-315-8030 or comment below.
Be sure to get your free copy of my best-selling book, How to Be a Real Estate Investor, and that comes with the audiobook version as well. Click the top left corner.
I'm Brian Bush with FreedomMentor.com. If you gain more real estate wisdom through this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for watching.